beautiful friends, I hope this finds you well. What is the difference between feedback and validation? This video was inspired by a question that one of my clients had last week when he asked me, Alex, don't we need validation from others in order to know if we're doing the right things or we are in the right path? And I thought it was a great question, and I'm sure it's a question that many of you may have, or some of your friends. So please feel free to share this video on your channels. So I wrote here the major difference between feedback and validation. So let's go through together here. So feedback is here, validation is here. So let's explore the energies, because everything that drives our behaviors in validation, seeking validation, is a behavior. Seeking feedback is a behavior. We need to think about what is underneath. If our words come from here, what is underneath? What are the energetics or emotional energetics or mental energetics that are underneath their request for either validation or feedback? We always need to think about the energies driving everything we do. So the energy of feedback, it's love, versus the energy of validation is actually fear. That would be more connect with this. So let me explain that. When we want a feedback, we are seeking into better ourselves to serve others. Like I want to better myself to be a better coach, a better guide to others. I want to improve myself to be a better course synchronous practitioner. I want to better myself to serve others. So I seek feedback in order to improve, to keep moving myself into the levels of excellence, because excellence, deliver great service, is a value to me that is going at the end benefit everyone. So it comes from love, loving what I do, loving what I provide, versus validation. It's an agenda. We're going to get to agenda here. It's an agenda of the ego. It's me looking for you, for everybody outside myself, to tell me that I am good enough. Versus feedback comes from a place that I already trust in my work, how I'm showing up. It's already absolutely a place that I'm good enough. And we all good enough, by the way. That's a myth that we're not. So validation, it comes from that place of insecurity, self-doubt, again, fear. And we are looking for people, or we're looking for the world to fix that wound that we have. And that, my friend, is never going to happen. That's why we get addicted to attention, validation. And I definitely was there. And I pay attention to make sure when I'm asking my friends, my clients, I'm asking feedback and not seeking validation, because they can get confused. That's why I'm making this video. So feedback comes from a place of I want to improve myself. I love myself. I love what I do. I love to serve others. How can I get better? Validation is a place where I don't believe I'm good enough. I don't believe I'm worthy. So I'm constantly looking for the world to meet that need. And that's insatiable, because it comes from the ego. Everything that comes from our ego is going to be insatiable. It's going to constantly chase validation. That's why it's madness. And we are left in a state of constant rejection or depletion, misery, unhappiness, because we constantly depend on others to tell us that we are doing good. So I'm here to tell you, whatever you're doing, whatever your skill, whatever you pursue in your life right now, just trust. You are in the perfect place. And yes, ask for feedback so you can learn more, keep improving your skills. The other energy source on feedback, just like love, it's a energy of the heart. Again, it's connect with love, you heart center. What does that mean? When you ask for feedback and your heart center, you can handle whatever that person says, because when we ask for feedback, there's always a risk that we're going to hear something that we might call negative. when I was studying with Dr. Gabor Mate, and we did a lot of practice, and we had to learn how to give feedback to each other, to the students. And we learn how to deliver feedback in a very gracious way. That's another thing about feedback. Feedback can be what people like to call constructive criticism. I don't like the expression. I like to just stay with feedback, because criticism, it's such a loaded word, because so many of us grew up with criticism, and we are our worst critics, actually. So we all trying to dissolve this critic in our mind. So I don't like the constructive criticism. I just like the word feedback. So feedback comes from this place where we heart center, and if I ask feedback, I can handle. Even somebody might say, hey, I didn't like that when we're in a coaching session, you seem distracted, or I don't like when you did that hands-on core synchronous because I got cold and that wasn't comfortable, whatever that is. When we heart center, we can handle that. Versus when you're seeking for validation, you are in the place of your wound. That wound that says, I need you to comfort me. I need you to soothe my fear. And in that place that we're not heart centered, we're going to take anything that might be considered negative. We're going to go straight to that place of guilt. I fail. I am not good enough. So you see, there's a big difference. When you heart center, it's like, oh, forgive me, next time I'll provide a blanket. Oh, forgive me, next time I'll make sure my cat or my dog is not distracting me during our coaching sessions. Forgive me, and you let it go. Versus seeking validation, it's coming from a place of your wound. So if your heart center, if you're watching this video, the heart center, you really hear in your chest, center in love, in your heart, versus the wound is below, is the wound of the child. So again, very different energies between feedback and validation. The third one here is feedback comes from a place of having a very clear intention when you ask a question. So when you ask a question with the intention to better yourself, to improve because you love serving others, you love seeing your customers, your clients, your friends, whoever in your community, you love to see them happy. Knowing that it's not your job to make anybody happy, and yet we're gonna do everything we can to make somebody more comfortable, to relieve suffering in somebody. So the intention underneath feedback, it's clear. Again, it's heart-centered, it's love-oriented. So there's a clear intention of why you asking the question. If I give a core synchronous session to somebody, next day I ask, can you give me any feedback? How's your shoulder pain? How's your back pain? It's really come from the place where I can continue learning, therefore I can give better. So clear intention where that question is coming from. Versus validation, there is an agenda. An agenda is very different from intention. An agenda is, I'm going to ask you to give me something because that's going to qualify if I'm good or I'm bad. You're always in a place of duality. So this would be a good distinction too. In feedback, you're in a place of ownness. There's no duality. There's no good or bad. It's all perfect. Versus when you place a validation, I could add here to this column, you're in a place of duality. Again, you want somebody to qualify you if you're good enough or not. And that's a very, very tricky place to be because it keeps you in the wound, which if that's your case, I recommend that you heal that one, because when you heal that, you don't seek validation anymore. Because you give yourself the validation you constantly need. You love yourself, you know you're good enough by just being you, and then you keep improving your skills. So seeking validation, there's an agenda that says, I want you to make me feel good about myself. That's an agenda of validation. And last one here is giving and getting. When you ask for feedback, you're really coming from a place of giving. You want to give, which is connected to service of all. You seek feedback because you want to give more, you want to give better, you want to give in a higher quality. It's serving all oriented. It's the service to others oriented, versus validation, you looking into getting to serve the self. And I'm talking about the small self here, which is another word for the ego. Validation is feed my ego. It's about giving to me. You're not really, and again, I'm going to say this very gently. You're not doing this consciously, by the way. That's why I'm making this video, to help you to bring whatever might be in your subconscious to the conscious so you can work with it. But when you are in a place of seeking validation, there is this thing that when you asking validation, you want to get. It's to serve the self. It's not with the interest to serve others. So that's a big distinction here. Feedback, giving, serving all, getting better to serve all. Validation is about you getting something that is going to serve your small self. So this is a summary here, just what the difference is. And again, I gave like an intellectual framework here for you to reflect on the difference, but this is really, my friend, coming from your energetics. What I mean by energetics, it's your consciousness. It's the combination of all your models that you carry of the world. So if you somebody who stands still with a lot of lack of confidence, a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear, a lot of self-doubt, the invitation here, because we all been there. I used to seek validation constantly, and if I don't watch myself, I'm still do that. I'm just catch myself much quicker now because I'm conscious of doing this work and evaluating my agenda or intention, what the energies are in my interactions when I asking friends and clients questions. Is that feedback or validation? So I hope this helps. Please share this video. I know this video is going to serve a lot of people, and this is not about guilt. It's not about, oh my God, I'm seeking validation, I'm so bad. No, we all are doing this work. We're all walking together, but we need to bring, if these energies of validation are hidden in your subconscious and unconscious mind, you need to bring to your conscious. Then you can work in therapy or a life coach like myself. You can work it out, reflecting, journaling. So just pause today and ask yourself, you know, if you're in this room of asking feedback or validation, what is really underneath, and keep growing, keep ascending, and many blessings in your journey. Thank you so much.